Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Violet Virgo, and in today's video I'm going to show you how I took our base from looking small, boring, and bleak to vibrant, cozy, and thriving. Along the way I built 2 new animal pens, foraged for and planted a bunch of new crops, set up a temporary little storage area to keep things organized, and finally rescued one of the horses who's been living in a hole. I also find diamonds and have a very rude encounter with a chest, but I come home with amazing loot. So get cozy and let's begin. So I feel like I need to start off the video with a bit of a confession. After editing the last video, I had a lot of trouble sleeping thinking about the farm. I felt like the way the expansion ended up at the end of the last video didn't feel transformed enough. And I kept picturing more color, more movement, flowers tucked into just all the right little spots. And honestly, this is classic me. When I get hyper-focused, once an idea pops into my brain, it sticks, and I have to see it through. And I know that my normal gameplay style is slow progress, and that's fine, we're still going to do that. But there's something magical about watching untouched terrain become the cozy homestead. And that's the gameplay that I enjoy watching, and I want my videos to capture that magic as well. So as I'm tilling the land and replanting all of these crops, I'm already thinking about all the little details. The flowers I'll weave in, adding texture and height variation. The retaining wall that I want to wrap around each of these plots. The slightly wild vibe of having the flowers mixed in instead of looking like well manicured. The way that the sunlight will bounce across the crops, and the way that they'll sway in the breeze. It's when all these little details come together that I really start feeling like I'm at home. It's gonna take time, and every block tells a story. After realizing I had some unexpected company, I went to the house and I made myself a shield. I waited until morning, and I came back to take care of the problem. I decided to approach them from behind. I didn't want them to trample all of the crops. And I figured if I got them to line up just right, they would do most of the work for me. Work smarter, not harder. I realized after all of this, I never got bad omen. I'm not sure why, but I'm not going to question it. I ended up getting right back to work. I had a few little spots that I still needed to fill with the crops, and once I had that finished, I decided it was time to forage for flowers, so I went into the Mystic Grove just next to my house. The grove has a really cool blue tone to it, and I remembered seeing these blue hydrangeas, and I thought they would look really nice and cohesive added into the farm. I ended picking up some tea blossoms, which gave me an advancement. This is part of Let's Do Herbal Brews mod. I also found a dig spot and got Unbreaking 3 and an ender pearl. I did a little dance, did a water bucket clutch, got some iron, and found a spinning boar. We danced. It felt right. Before anything really changes, I just want to take a look at the before. And then start making the little changes I've been picturing. These white flowers will be a great contrast to the golden color of the wheat. And along the back edge of the wheat, I placed these hydrangeas and lilacs to add a pop of color and to gently separate the section from the next crop plot. Pink and purple flowers for the potatoes and the lettuce. I'm using the daffodils as a soft barrier between the two crops. It keeps everything visually distinct without feeling boxed in. I'm using a mod that gives me more lantern options, which is great because it uses way less iron and still adds a lot of warmth around the farm. I decide to work through the night digging away the blocks around the edge of my crop plots. This is where I plan to add in a mix of stone blocks to create a low retaining wall. This will give the farm some structure and make it feel more intentional and look finished. I'm curious, so let me know in the comments below, when you're working on a project in Minecraft, what are you doing while you're working on things like terraforming or whatever you're doing inside of your world? For me, I'm more of a music listener. I do sometimes put on a video or a movie or something to watch, but most of the time, if I'm just playing by myself, I have music going in the background. Once I have more of this dirt cleared away, I can add in the next level of our low retaining wall. I find it so helpful to take a step back from time to time and really see how much you've progressed. Not to be too philosophical, but I think that goes for more than just Minecraft. Having an end goal and looking forward is a wonderful practice, but sometimes I forget to appreciate the now. And the now is the moment, the journey that shapes us into what we become in the future. So take a moment and just appreciate where you're at right now, because you'll never be in this spot ever again. And for some of you, maybe that's a good thing. But for the rest of us, these are the moments we're going to look back on and really appreciate. I had collected spruce saplings in the previous video, so I planted them over by my redwood forest area as I figured the podzol wouldn't affect my area too much. I used the spruce wood to create fences. I went all the way along the retaining wall and put fences kind of acting as a border so that animals, pillagers, and anyone else who happens to stop by won't trample my crops. Then it was time for lighting. I added my lanterns all around the wall and sat back and enjoyed the view. While I'm gathering up some stone here, I'd like to talk about something. You might have noticed it feels a little different in this video than it did the first two. I'm trying out a slightly new format, more organized, a bit more structured. Also, real talk, while I've been recording directly in OBS, I have been having some audio issues, and so I recorded my narration separately afterwards this time around. To me, it feels a bit cleaner, but I'd love to hear what you think. Does it feel okay, or should I stick closer to the old style from the first two videos? Let me know in the comments. It really helps me figure out what works best for all of us. So next I want to figure out where I want to put some new animal pens, and I think this is the right spot. So I decide to clear out some of these Mystic Grove trees, giving me more room for the animal pen. I say a quick hello to my possum friend and have a quick snack. So I'm starting by laying out sort of a stone block guideline for where I think this animal pen should go. It's going to be much larger than the second one I have planned, and it's going to be for the cows. Don't wake the possum. Isn't that a game? Isn't there a kid's game called Don't Wake the Something? Let me know in the comments below if you know what game I'm talking about. Now I'm adding some more spruce fences and slabs to give the wall more height and to stop the cows from escaping. I'm collecting these oak leaves to spam all over my build, because to me, a build is not complete if it's not covered in greenery. I'm placing these oak leaves in all of the little nooks and crannies of both my farm and the animal pens. I guess I'm kind of using it as a barrier in all of the little vulnerable spots along my wall here that I think the cows might be able to escape from. At the very least, it looks like our walls are keeping the possum in. Next, I'm adding a bunch of spruce trapdoors. This is doing two things for me at the moment. One, this is a very finishing detail. It's going to make the whole wall around the cow enclosure feel finished. And it's also providing me with peace of mind. This is kind of acting as a barrier to make sure that even if the cows are able to get up onto the stone, they're not going to be able to get past the fence or this trapdoor, ensuring that they stay inside. I finished the second pen in the darkness of the night, and just as morning was starting to break, I was putting on the final touches. Then it was time to show my sheep their new home. Now you guys have so much space for activities. With the Let's Do Candlelight mod, I crafted up 2 of these sacks for produce and set them over by the farm to give it a more lived-in look. Then I went around and I lit up the area for the sheep. I wanted to make use of all of the wheat that I had been harvesting throughout this project, so I turned it into hay bales, and I wanted to use it as a functional item, but also something as decor. So I put a pile together of the hay bales. I stashed a crafting table in there, and then I crafted up some barrels and chests and lights to sprinkle around the area. I still had plenty of flowers from foraging earlier, so I went around and just added a little last-minute details to the cow pen and just around the farm area in general, so that I brought back a little bit of the life that we took away when we started building. While reflecting on everything I had gotten done so far, I remembered there's plains really nearby, so I made a waypoint and I decided I would go out and start looking for cows and possibly some of the crops that I'm still missing for my farm. Oh, look at that, a cave opening right into the hill we settled on top of. Note to self, come back later. Once I reached the plains area, I started collecting all sorts of new flowers to bring back home with me. I ended up finding wood ear from the Shroomtopia mod and grabbed it. I found these roses from the Let's Do Candlelight mod. I'm not really sure what they're used for, but it's something I want to find out in the future. I also found some strawberries, pumpkins, corn, whatever this is, and wild tomatoes. And apparently creepers are terrified of my kitty slippers. You better run. Is that a mineshaft? I added a lantern and then decided to just make a waypoint and nope out. My inventory's full and I don't have a shield. We'll return another time. As I wander closer to the village, I find a dig spot, but a zombie wanted to say hello. Luckily, my sword and my backup show up just in time. Iron and Fortune 2. The next morning, I find the tiniest orchard with cherry trees and apple trees, so I make a waypoint so that I can come back and grab saplings at another time. And then I also found some hazelnut. I get back home after the sun goes down, and I decide to craft this plow. I've never used one before, but I'm excited to see how it works. While crafting pumpkins into seeds, I realized I could craft pretzels, so I decided to give them a try. Delicious! After unburdening my pockets from all the things I brought home from my first trip to the plains, I decided to come back and get saplings of the apple tree and the cherry tree. That's when I found an unexpected friend, a dog. He was all alone in the plains and I had no bones to tame him, but I promised I'd be back. Then the mineshaft came to mind. This would be an excellent place to find some bones. I bet this place is filled with skeletons. Shield in hand, I braced myself and made the leap. mineshaft was dark, and parts of it had caved in on itself, but I quickly spotted some iron and a chest. Before diving in, I put down a few torches to make sure the coast was clear. I could hear spiders nearby, so I knew danger wasn't far. When I opened the chest, I was surprised to see a golden apple, a bat backpack, and a couple of modded bows. I scurried back to the entrance to take a better look. The Ancient Relic Bow gives infinite arrows and extra damage. The Emerald Sage Bow grants bonus XP when hitting enemies. When I put on the backpack, I realized I could see everything. Turns out this backpack gives you night vision. I grabbed the cobweb so that I can make a fishing rod later. Found a trapdoor. Cave spiders. No thanks. Took a small staircase up into this cave-like area of the shaft system, found some iron and gold. I found so much gold. I found a stack of barrels, so I went through each one, grabbing all of the items. Little did I know that there was a zombie judging me the whole time. Carrots, yay! I also found leather, an iron axe, and a bit more gold. Then for the first time while exploring the mineshaft, I got attacked by a zombie. And then another zombie. This one had an iron sword and definitely did some damage. Luckily I had some food on me, so I tried to regenerate my health, but then I was attacked again. I almost died, but I finally killed the zombie and backed into a corner to make sure no one else was coming for me. I got my pretzels, and I snacked up. Once I regained some health, I went right back to being a greedy gremlin. I found digging claws. They strengthen your hands so you can break through blocks more efficiently. Also inside this chest, I found iron, some rope, another backpack, and then another modded bow. This one pierces through 33% of armor defenses, and I found my very first name tag. I disrespectfully broke an urn, and inside there were seats. Flax seats. Another zombie approached. I tried using my digging claws, but it wasn't doing as much damage as my sword would. Every time I turned around in this cave, there was another vein of ores for me to collect. Some of them were being guarded by spiders, and some of them I could just walk right up to and collect without anyone bothering me. I had been getting so lucky with loot that I had completely forgotten the reason I came down here was to get bones for a dog, and then I saw it. My first diamond. I didn't know it at this point, but my axe breaking as I'm mining my very first diamond was such a good omen because I kept getting more and more lucky after this. So I'm currently digging into the wall across a very large pool of lava, and I figured I might as well just take the safe route so that way I can drop in near a spider spawner and get some more loot. And this gravel keeps falling down on my head, and I'm starting to get a little frustrated with it until I see another set of diamonds. I don't know how I'm getting this lucky, I swear. And then as I'm clearing more gravel, I look up and there's more diamonds. This had me wondering how long it was until my luck ran out. Dropping down and rounding the corner, I realized I had a crowd of mobs awaiting my arrival. These mobs had pushed me into a corner. I was literally back against the wall fighting for my life. I was trying to time it so that my sword would hit all three at the same time when out of nowhere, two more spiders decided to show up and join the fight. Knowing I needed to regain health, I fled. I turned around just as a spider jumped me. Remember when our parents told us not to play with our food? Well, what if you kill spiders with it? When me and the spider made eye contact, I ran to the back of this little cave area. I figured I needed as much distance between the two of us so that I could regain some more health before I took on another fight. Luckily, this spider didn't have any friends, so he was an easy fight. I quickly lit up the spawner and started looting all of the goodies. The The spiders were guarding a power crystal, which will repair those bows that I found earlier. I also took the spare bucket, the music discs, a golden apple, and all of the bones from both of the chests. Exploring further, I heard a chest open beside me. It lunged. It was a mimic chest. And this thing seemed hell-bent on destroying me. I figured because it's a chest I would use my axe to do damage, but it didn't seem to be working. When I switched over to the sword, that did more damage, but it was doing more damage to me. When I started hearing my heartbeat in my ears, I decided it would be best if I were to just retreat, regain some health, and then try to finish it off. But this thing was locked in, and these pumpkin pies were not giving me the generation that I needed. So I retreated even further. I found a crack in the wall, and I hid in there while I regenerated my health. Once I was done being a coward, I stepped out. I watched it closely, ate a cookie, and then decided I was brave enough to take it on. Oh, well that was easy. Turns out that beast was protecting this cowboy hat, which gives agility on mounts. Perfect, because I have a horse in a hole at home and I need that. I was still looting when I found things along the way, but at this point in my adventure, I had decided that it was probably time to start heading back to the surface. But I can't help it if I kept finding such good things. It was at this point that the cave dwellers themselves started to tell me I was being greedy and that it was time for me to get out of there. But lucky for me, my PvP skills had been all warmed up from all the prior attacks, so I was ready for a rumble. I did find it odd, though, that these mobs kept coming from seemingly nowhere. At one point, I even saw a zombie villager, which I thought was weird because what on earth would a villager be doing down here in these caves and mineshaft systems? When he came closer, I realized he was an antique dealer? I'm not even sure which mod that's from. I came across another chest, and I felt suspicious. And in hindsight, it's good that I was suspicious of this chest, but at the moment I didn't realize it was about to explode in my face. Luckily, I secured the diamonds from inside the chest before it did so. I disrespected the dead once more, breaking some urns. But in these urns, a cute little friend popped out. It's a flutter. I discovered another mine campsite, and would you know it, it was another mimic, and this mimic had backup. There was no way with this amount of health I was going to take on that mimic and a skeleton, so I decided to retreat strategically. I was eating cookies on my way down into the cave even deeper, hoping I can gain some distance before they arrive for a fight. With my back against the wall, I decided I would try the same tactic as I did with the pillagers. Let the skeleton do the work. This ended up being a deadly duo, and together they took me out. I may have lost the fight, but all of the loot that I found and the diamond success made it all worth it. I spotted an onion ring in my hotbar and went to eat it, but instead it equipped it to my wrist. Turns out it enhances block mining efficiency when fully satiated. I got to work unpacking my backpacks full of goodies, marveling at everything I had collected. Then I decided it was time for a new task. I wanted to finally tame the white horse trapped in the hole outside my house, so I decided to craft a saddle. She was pretty feisty, and she put up a good fight. But I knew she was going to be my horse the first day I saw her, so I kept trying. I don't think a Minecraft horse has ever made me work this hard before. It was at this point she realized I was trying to help her. She let me put the saddle on, ride her up out of the hole and into the light. Now I need name suggestions down in the comments. I can't wait to see what you come up with. As the sun was setting at the farm, I decided to sort through some of the seeds and crops that I was able to find while I was out on my adventure. I decided I wanted to start with something dramatic, so I grabbed a sapling, one of each, the apple and the cherry. I made this little cherry sack so that I could put it as decor nearby the trees. I planted the saplings and bone meal them so that they would grow quickly. And then I put some lanterns on some of the low-hanging branches to add some light and ambiance to the area. I started working through the night, creating a new tilled area for some of the new crops that I had discovered while I was out. I could have used the plow, but since I don't really know how to use it yet, I was a little scared to try it on this little bit of land. In the same plot with the lettuce and potatoes, I decided that I would also add in the carrots that I found in the Mineshafts. I just took out a couple of the lettuce and potato plants and added in the carrots. And then I just scooted the daffodils over to maintain the border between each of the crops. And then it was time to start on the fresh, new tilled land. I decided that I was going to plant corn here. And while I'm editing this video, I now realize that maybe corn would be more aesthetically pleasing in rows. But for this video, I just did it in one large plot. Let me know in the comments if we should switch it to rows or just keep it how it is. And of course, I'm going to be planting my pumpkins just above my cornfield. I feel like that's such a fall combo, the corn and the pumpkins. I love that duo, so I had to stick them in here together. I also end up putting the flaxseed here. I think the blue, when it matures, is going to be really pretty. With the final details in place, this farm is really starting to feel cozy, abundant, and alive. We expanded the fields, built 2 new animal pens, a small storage spot that doubles as decor, found and planted many new crops, and with all the little details we added, I feel like I'm finally leaving this farm the way I imagined it in my head. I hope you enjoyed watching the farm come together as much as I enjoyed building it. And if you did enjoy your time here, I ask that you don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more cozy vibes. From humble beginnings to a cozy, vibrant farm, I want to thank you so much for watching every step of the way. I'll see you next time, friends. Stay cozy.